in sight?
I don't know, but I just know that we ought to keep the stance that we have. I don't think that the WNBA is in a unique position where we probably have the most eyes and support that we've ever had, and it's not even players a lot of times that have to debunk the things that the league is putting out. The fans and the people who care are doing that for us. You put an article out saying one thing is the case, they break it down 5 different ways as to how that is actually inaccurate. And so we're in a unique position where you don't have to do a lot of bickering back and forth. You see what the truth is, they see what the truth is, and we see what we deserve, and people see what we deserve. And
that is Sydney Carlson, a veteran who has played in the WNBA for 12 years, explaining why the 2025 season might not even happen. You need to pay close attention to her words. She isn't speaking casually, she's issuing a serious warning. The league recently released a statement, but fans quickly went online, checked the facts, and heavily criticized it. This isn't the typical back and forth seen in standard labor negotiations. It goes much deeper than that. It's a union openly signaling that it doesn't trust the league's management to handle matters properly, and that's a major concern. Right now, the league is operating on an extremely tight schedule. We are just 18 days away from the draft, when teams select new players and begin shaping their rosters for the upcoming season. Free agency, when players can sign with new teams, should already be in full swing, giving organizations the opportunity to make key decisions and prepare. Training camps, where players come together to build chemistry, develop strategies, and get into competitive form, are scheduled to begin in only 6 weeks. Yet instead of focusing on basketball, the league and the Players Association remain locked in a serious standstill. The divide between the two sides has grown so wide that the WNBA commissioner had to step in and publicly acknowledge that the situation has reached a critical stage. He described it as the 11th hour, meaning time is running out to secure a deal. However, here's the troubling part. They've been in the so-called 11th hour for 3 full weeks. That's 3 weeks of uncertainty, with no concrete resolution in sight, while the countdown to the season continues. Players, fans, and team personnel are left in limbo, unsure whether the season will proceed as planned or whether drastic changes will become necessary. For players, this isn't simply about salaries or contract terms. It's about their careers, preparation routines, and the lives they've structured around the game. For fans, it's about tradition, anticipation, and the excitement of watching their favorite teams compete on the court. The tension is undeniable. This is clearly more than just another routine negotiation. It represents a pivotal moment that could shape the league's future for years to come. Trust between the players and league leadership appears strained, and the public can sense it. Every official statement, every headline, and every social media discussion reinforces the same message. Time is slipping away, and the stakes couldn't be higher. If an agreement isn't finalized soon, the 2025 season could face serious disruption, and the consequences would extend far beyond a delayed schedule. The ripple effects would impact players, staff, sponsors, and the broader basketball community. Sydney Carlson's comments serve both as a warning and a call to action. The league stands at a crossroads where urgency and cooperation are essential. Fans, athletes, and organizations are watching closely, hoping that both sides can reach common ground before the clock finally runs out.
Other videos what look like WNBA veterans is pretty much sending smoke signals to young players and rookies, telling them not to sign the owner's proposal. Now, I told y'all the other day exactly what was going down. I told y'all this whole CBA thing is all about the veteran players thinking they should get what they deserve. Now, mind you, these young players like Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Cameron Brink, Angel Reese, and many others gave y'all notoriety that y'all have never had before. Hell, this is the first time in women's basketball history that a college fan base crossed over into y'all league.
Here's the real story behind the vague social media posts and mysterious updates. Beyond the headlines, the WNBA owners presented a proposal, but the Players Association immediately labeled it unrealistic. They didn't reject it quietly. Instead, they made it publicly clear that the offer fell short of their expectations. Now, experienced veterans like Sydney Carlson are making media appearances, advising rookies not to sign anything prematurely. Meanwhile, young stars such as Caitlin Clark and Paige Buchers find themselves caught in the middle, watching their professional debuts stall because of a dispute they have no control over. They trained for years to reach this stage, yet their long-awaited opportunity is now overshadowed by negotiations they didn't create and cannot resolve. At the center of this standoff lies one major issue: revenue sharing. The players are asking for a fair share of the league's earnings, specifically 30% of total revenue. This demand isn't simply about larger paychecks. It reflects a desire to participate in the league's continued growth. As the WNBA becomes more popular and financially successful, the athletes believe they should benefit proportionally. From their perspective, they are the driving force behind ticket sales, television ratings, and sponsorship deals. On the other side, the owners have proposed a significantly smaller percentage, far below what the players consider equitable. That wide gap has fueled mounting frustration, and with each passing day, the divide appears to grow deeper. What makes the situation even more troubling is the manner in which negotiations are unfolding, or in some respects not unfolding at all. Rather than engaging in consistent, private discussions across a negotiating table, both sides have largely relied on press releases and public statements. Historically, that approach rarely signals progress in labor disputes. Public messaging may shape opinion, but it can also harden positions. Every word becomes subject to intense scrutiny by fans, journalists, and social media commentators. As a result, compromise becomes more complicated because neither side wants to appear weak or conceding ground. Instead of fostering collaboration, the process begins to resemble a public standoff, delaying the meaningful work required to find common ground. The rookies, the future faces of the league, are feeling the immediate consequences. They should be concentrating on conditioning, team chemistry, and adapting to the professional level. Instead, they must monitor negotiations that could determine when, or even if, their season begins. Veterans like Carlson understand the long-term implications. They recognize that agreeing to the wrong terms now could influence salary structures and working conditions for years to come. That's why they are stepping forward, offering advice, and urging younger players to remain patient and cautious. Ultimately, this conflict extends beyond contracts and percentages. It centers on fairness, mutual respect, and the long-term sustainability of the league. The WNBA has experienced remarkable growth, and both ownership and players acknowledge its rising value. However, until meaningful dialogue replaces public back and forth, uncertainty will continue to loom. Fans, athletes, and organizations are left waiting, questioning whether the 2025 season will proceed as planned. With each day that passes without an agreement, the pressure intensifies, and the urgency for resolution becomes impossible to ignore.
What are you looking forward to most in this role?
I'm really excited.
Well, something else that has been a challenge, probably.
So that was Sydney Colson, man, pretty much detailing how all of this stuff is going down, man. Fact of the matter is that these ladies, for the life of me, cannot figure out a way to get a deal done, agree on this stuff, and give us the season. Y'all just heard her lay it out, and I'm finna play another clip. Not about Caitlin them, bro. This is about the old players, which is sad, bro. It's unfortunate. Y'all had y'all time.
This is where the situation becomes far more complicated. The veteran players are not wrong when they reference history. The 2020 Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA, did not work out well for the WNBA's middle class. While the stars secured major contracts and rookies signed minimum deals, the players in between, the ones who form the backbone of most teams, felt the squeeze. Many of them struggled to maintain roster spots because teams simply could not afford to carry enough players under the salary structure. Sydney Colson is right when she says mistakes were made during the last agreement, and those missteps created consequences that still affect the league today. Now, however, a new tension has emerged, one that few are openly discussing. The players currently hold leverage that did not exist 4 years ago. The league has grown significantly, and that growth has shifted power in ways that give rookies more influence than ever before. Take Caitlin Clark as an example. She drew an average of 8.9 million viewers for the national championship game, a staggering number that demonstrates the immense interest in women's basketball. Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso introduced entirely new audiences to the sport, broadening its reach beyond traditional fan bases. Paige Buchers has secured endorsement deals reportedly worth more than the maximum WNBA contract. For the first time, the college fanbase has successfully transitioned to the professional level, creating unprecedented attention and revenue potential for the league. Here's the complicated reality. The veterans leading the negotiations did not generate this recent surge in momentum. They are accomplished, respected, and business-savvy athletes who understandably want to capitalize on the moment. Their goal is to push for stronger contracts, improved revenue sharing, and enhanced protections for all players. That strategy makes sense. However, the rookies, the very players whose popularity has strengthened the union's bargaining position, are being asked to remain patient, trust the process, and follow the guidance of experienced teammates. Their accomplishments have amplified the league's value, yet they are largely observers while negotiations unfold. This dynamic creates a delicate balancing act. Veterans are pursuing long-term structural gains that could benefit future generations, but it raises an important question. How long should rookies wait for recognition that reflects their immediate impact? Women's basketball is entering a new era, one in which young stars possess cultural and commercial influence that previous generations could scarcely imagine. These rookies are not merely athletes filling roster spots. They are central drivers of television ratings, sponsorship deals, merchandise sales, and overall league visibility. Their presence is reshaping the WNBA into a more prominent and financially promising enterprise. At the same time, the experience and strategic understanding of veteran players remain indispensable. They comprehend the legal complexities and economic realities of professional sports negotiations. Their leadership can help secure agreements that ensure sustainability and fairness beyond a single season. The true challenge lies in harmonizing veteran wisdom with the immediate leverage generated by new talent. The league now stands at a pivotal crossroads. The outcome of these negotiations will not only determine the fate of an upcoming season, but also shape the long-term direction of professional women's basketball.
Definitely do, but they don't deserve the 30% revenue. As much as I love watching women's basketball during the season and covering it, it's a fun thing I've been doing for the last couple of years. Do I believe they deserve their money? Hell yeah, they deserve their money. But do they deserve 30% of the revenue? No, they deserve like 15 to 18%. I could see that, bro. I don't know why they just won't settle from anywhere from 15 to 18, 18 being the cap, 20 kind of pushing it, 20 anything to 15 to 18%. Sign the deal, get it done, give us back women's basketball. Let us see Caitlin Clark hitting logo threes, but it don't look.
Let's break down what 30% actually represents, because that figure is a major reason these negotiations have become so intense. The WNBA is projecting approximately $200 million in revenue for the 2025 season. If players were to receive 30% of that total, it would amount to $60 million distributed across 144 roster spots. On average, that equals roughly $416,000 per player, before accounting for the league's tiered salary structure, which heavily favors top stars. In reality, superstars would command significantly more than the average, while role players would still earn comparatively smaller shares. Under the current system, the league minimum salary sits at $64,000, while the maximum Supermax contract is capped at $241,000. Securing 30% of league revenue would more than double the existing total player compensation pool in a single negotiation cycle. That kind of financial leap explains why ownership groups are approaching the proposal with caution. Do WNBA players deserve substantial raises? There is a strong argument that they do. The league's on-court product has improved dramatically, and overall visibility continues to rise. Television ratings are climbing, social media engagement is expanding rapidly, and the league is entering a period of growth. Over the next 2 years, expansion franchise fees alone are projected to generate approximately $300 million in additional revenue. These developments indicate that the WNBA is more valuable than ever, and the players are central to that momentum. However, ownership presents a different perspective. They note that even the NBA, a league with decades of sustained profitability, did not reach comparable revenue-sharing milestones overnight. Building financial stability at that scale required time, consistent investment, and gradual adjustments to compensation structures. From the owner's viewpoint, Immediately committing to 30% could strain certain franchises, particularly those still cultivating local markets, investing in upgraded facilities, or strengthening organizational infrastructure. For teams that are not yet operating at peak profitability, a sudden increase in fixed salary obligations could create financial pressure. This is why ownership characterizes the 30% request as unrealistic at this stage. Their concern is not necessarily about denying players fair compensation, but about pacing growth responsibly. They argue that sustaining long-term expansion requires balancing player rewards with reinvestment in arenas, training resources, marketing initiatives, and community outreach efforts. The core tension lies in the fact that both arguments carry weight. Players drive the product. They generate fan interest, fuel sponsorships, and elevate the league's national profile. From that standpoint, a larger share of revenue seems justified. Owners, meanwhile, shoulder operational risks and capital investments that are essential to long-term league health. They aim to ensure that today's financial decisions do not undermine tomorrow's stability. Ultimately, the debate over 30% extends beyond a single percentage point. It reflects the growing pains of a league transitioning into a new phase of prominence and opportunity. Players recognize their increasing value and want compensation that mirrors their impact. Owners prioritize sustainability and strategic growth. Reaching a compromise will require careful calibration, one that rewards performance today while protecting the league's ability to thrive for years to come.
$1 million deal, like, you have to find a place to live. So I think that's actually probably the more interesting point, that there should be maybe some sort of grace period for housing if it is in the CBA that only certain players receive it.
It makes sense. It does. But, you know, the question is, what does it mean? Honestly, I think it's okay to say, I don't know. That's kind of where I fall. I don't know. We'll see. And if you're a WNBA fan that's grown frustrated by this entire process, how long it's been drawn out, the fact that it's been, very public back and forth between the players.
This negotiation is unlike most labor disputes in professional sports, largely because the timeline is extraordinarily tight. In leagues such as the NBA, there is often some flexibility if an agreement is not finalized on schedule. The start of the season can be pushed back slightly without causing widespread disruption. The NFL also builds flexibility into its preseason and training camp schedules. The WNBA, however, operates within a far narrower calendar window, making these negotiations significantly more urgent. A major part of the challenge lies in the league's schedule. The WNBA season overlaps with the Olympics, which interrupts play and temporarily reshapes team rosters. In addition, the league is bound by television contracts that require games to be played on specific dates. That leaves very little room to reschedule broadcasts. Arena availability presents another serious constraint. Many WNBA teams share facilities with NBA or NHL franchises, meaning court time is booked months in advance. This is not merely an inconvenience. It directly affects the league's ability to conduct games, practices, and promotional events on time. On February 18th, the league publicly acknowledged its concerns, emphasizing that 2 drafts and the free agency period must be completed before training camps can begin. The time remaining is minimal. This is not typical negotiation posturing. It reflects genuine logistical pressure. Each day that passes without a finalized collective bargaining agreement, CBA, increases the likelihood of difficult decisions. If a new agreement is not reached by the end of the month, the league could face 2 troubling options: cancel the draft entirely or proceed with it without knowing what the salary cap will be. Either scenario creates substantial complications. Without a defined salary structure, free agency cannot function properly. Teams would not know how much they can offer players, rookies would lack clarity about contract terms, and roster planning would stall before the season even begins. The consequences are not abstract. They directly impact players, coaches, executives, and fans. Incoming rookies are left in limbo, uncertain about their first professional contracts. Teams are unable to finalize roster strategies or prepare financially for the months ahead. Meanwhile, fans who have closely followed the league's growth see the uncertainty unfold publicly, raising concerns about whether the 2025 season will proceed as planned. In this context, time becomes just as critical as the financial figures being debated. Unlike some labor disputes in other sports that stretch on for months, this situation has an unmistakable deadline looming. The overlap with the Olympics, fixed broadcast commitments, arena scheduling limitations, and the approaching draft collectively compress the timeline. Delays are not easily absorbed into the calendar. Both the league and the Players Association are under intense pressure to finalize a deal quickly. Failure to do so could disrupt the 2025 season in ways that ripple across the sport. In professional athletics, timing always matters, but for the WNBA at this moment, timing is everything.
In the WNBA calendar, and a very packed one at that, there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Adam Silver. It'd be very funny if Adam Sandler chimed in on this stuff.
What did he have to say about all of this?
Sorry, we have a movie waiting this weekend with Adam Sandler in it. Adam Silver pointed out the obvious here, that we're in the 11th hour. It feels like we've been in the 11th hour for a little bit. Like it's about to strike midnight, it feels like.
And it doesn't seem like it's getting any closer, at least just based off of the WNBA's statement. They, in response to the counter proposal, the WNBA said, quote, "The Players Association's latest proposal remains unrealistic and would cause hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. For our teams, we still need to complete 2 drafts and free agency before the start of training camp, and we are running out of time." They feel it. We feel it as fans. Are the players feeling it? We'll talk to Nafisa Collier here in a little bit here on the show.
The Yahoo Sports analysis pointed out something significant that much of the broader coverage has overlooked. Fan frustration is growing, and it is beginning to overshadow excitement for the upcoming season. For several years, the WNBA has steadily built momentum, attracted new viewers, and cultivated genuine enthusiasm around the game. Many casual fans tuned in because of emerging stars like Caitlin Clark, drawn by her skill, intensity, and the excitement of watching a new generation transform the sport. Instead of headlines celebrating highlight reel performances and dramatic buzzer beaters, however, fans are now seeing stories about potential lockouts, revenue-sharing disputes, and proposals described as unrealistic. That type of narrative does not sustain engagement or inspire fans to follow the league week after week. The Players Association appears to be relying on public pressure to influence ownership's position. By bringing revenue figures and expansion fees into the spotlight, they want fans to recognize what they view as a disparity between league growth and player compensation. There are signs that this approach is resonating. Social media discussions frequently highlight eye-catching comparisons. For example, the sale of a Los Angeles expansion franchise for $50 million contrasted with a maximum player salary of $241,000. Juxtapositions like that simplify the argument and make it accessible to both dedicated followers and casual observers. Still, public support has limits. Fans are most engaged when games are being played and storylines unfold on the court. The WNBA has worked hard to generate authentic momentum. Television ratings have increased, star players are becoming recognizable names, and the league is expanding into new markets. Each day, negotiations remain unresolved, risks slowing that progress. Excitement can fade if there is no visible movement toward a solution. The energy created by Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and other rising stars is powerful, but it is not immune to prolonged uncertainty. This moment also underscores the importance of communication and perception. Modern sports audiences do not simply watch games. They follow the broader narratives surrounding teams, athletes, and league leadership. When headlines emphasize disputes and delays rather than accomplishments and milestones, public perception inevitably shifts. The Players Association is clearly aware of this dynamic and is attempting to harness fan awareness as leverage. However, the strategy carries risk. If negotiations stall long enough to disrupt the schedule, frustration may turn from sympathy for players to disappointment over missed games. At that point, the conversation shifts from advocacy to lost entertainment value, which could undermine long-term growth. Ultimately, the WNBA stands at a critical juncture. It has the talent, visibility, and market potential to expand in unprecedented ways. Yet sustained progress depends on timely agreements and thoughtful decision-making. Every day without resolution slightly erodes the excitement surrounding the new season. The stakes extend beyond salary figures and contract terms. They encompass the league's reputation, its relationship with fans, and its ability to maintain the hard-earned momentum that has brought it to this pivotal moment.
And it's not, and lastly, it's not just about the players who are in the league now. I want the players, I never have a chance to just talk to all the players in the league, but people have to understand that you're doing this for people after you too. In our last CBA, we did a poor job of taking care of, the stars and the rookies did well. The people all in between, a lot of people were without jobs when really they should have been on rosters. You can argue. And so I'm hopeful that people remember the position that we were in before, and they make sure to not repeat any of the same mistakes.
You talk about leaving a legacy, and you've certainly done that on and off the court. I can't literally list all of the things that you do, Sydney, but one thing that is...
The housing issue mentioned in that clip is a perfect example of why this negotiation has become so complex. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, only certain players receive housing assistance. Players on maximum contracts have their housing expenses covered by their teams. However, players on minimum contracts must independently find housing in the city where they are drafted. This becomes particularly challenging when considering that many players earn only about $64,000 per year before taxes. That salary must cover rent, transportation, food, relocation costs, and daily living expenses. In major metropolitan areas where many teams are located, the cost of living can be extremely high. Housing is not an abstract policy discussion for these athletes. It is a real and immediate concern. Young players entering the league often move away from their families for the first time. They must navigate unfamiliar cities while trying to focus on training, team chemistry, and professional performance. Financial pressure outside the game can affect mental well-being and athletic development. Housing is only one issue among many being negotiated. The discussions also include revenue-sharing percentages, expansion draft rules, Olympic break compensation, salary structures, and other operational policies. All of these elements are interconnected. Changing one component can influence the others, which makes the negotiation process slower and more complicated. With the draft only weeks away, there is still no finalized agreement. Each side uses different issues as leverage, which naturally extends the timeline. The broader significance of this negotiation goes far beyond whether the WNBA will host a 2025 season. If players insist on receiving 30% of league revenue while owners refuse to exceed 20%, one side will eventually have to compromise. The critical question is which side will yield first, and what long-term impact that decision will have on the league's power structure. This negotiation is not just about immediate compensation. It is also about whether the Players Association can use the league's current surge in popularity, driven largely by star athletes, to reshape the financial framework of professional women's basketball. Owners, on the other hand, argue that decades of operating losses make a 30% revenue commitment financially unsustainable, regardless of recent growth trends. Veteran players tend to focus on long-term outcomes. Many of them believe their efforts will create better working conditions for future generations of athletes. Sydney Carlson has emphasized that the purpose of union negotiations is to improve opportunities for the next wave of players. This philosophy aligns with traditional labor union principles, where short-term sacrifices are sometimes accepted in exchange for long-term stability and fairness. However, a major source of tension exists between veteran players and incoming rookies. The new generation of players did not create the current labor dispute. Some of the league's most prominent young athletes have already achieved financial independence through endorsement contracts and media opportunities. For example, high-profile college stars have secured sponsorships and commercial deals that exceed typical professional salary levels. As a result, some rookies may not feel the same urgency regarding immediate salary increases. At the same time, these rookies are partly responsible for the league's recent surge in public interest. Their popularity has driven television ratings, social media engagement, and merchandising opportunities. This creates a paradox. The players generating the greatest commercial momentum are being asked to remain patient, while veteran leadership negotiates long-term union strategy. Ownership groups are approaching the situation from a historical financial perspective. The WNBA has experienced nearly 3 decades of operating losses. Expansion fees provide temporary financial relief, but do not guarantee long-term profitability. television contracts remain significantly smaller than those seen in larger professional leagues. Owners worry about sustainability risks. They also question whether the current popularity surge is permanent. What happens if viewership declines after the retirement of major stars? What if new expansion markets fail to generate strong attendance? Owners fear that committing to a 30% revenue share too quickly could accelerate financial losses for certain franchises. The central problem is trust. Players are negotiating based on future growth potential, while owners are negotiating based on historical financial performance and risk management. Without mutual confidence, reaching a rapid agreement becomes extremely difficult. The most likely outcome, according to many analysts, is a last-minute compromise. A revenue-sharing rate between 22% and 25% appears plausible. The agreement could include automatic escalation clauses. For example, if league revenue reaches $300 million, the percentage could increase to 25%. If revenue rises to $400 million, it could move closer to 27%. Such a system would protect teams during slower growth periods, while rewarding players when financial performance improves. If negotiations fail completely and the 2025 season is delayed or canceled, the consequences could be severe. Rookie players would lose their first professional season opportunities. Fans who recently discovered the league may lose interest if basketball is not played. The momentum generated by emerging stars could weaken quickly. This situation reflects the delicate balance between labor rights and business sustainability. Players deserve fair compensation, particularly when their performance drives league visibility and commercial value. Owners must ensure the long-term financial stability of franchises. The challenge lies in finding a solution that supports both goals. The biggest risk is time. Every day without a resolution increases uncertainty. Public negotiations through press releases, podcasts, and social media statements make compromise more difficult. Veteran players often urge rookies to trust the union leadership, while younger players may feel their personal market value is tied to immediate performance recognition. If asked what the ideal solution might be, many analysts suggest a phased compromise. A revenue share near 23% initially, combined with automatic growth adjustments linked to league performance, could satisfy both sides. This structure would allow players to benefit from future success while protecting owners from sudden financial shocks. The rookies now face a difficult decision. Should they support veteran strategy and push for the highest possible revenue share? Or should they accept a shorter-term agreement that guarantees they can play in 2025? There is no perfect answer. The WNBA stands at a historic turning point. The league has talent, global interest, and commercial momentum. The next few weeks will determine whether that momentum leads to sustainable expansion or becomes another chapter in a long history of labor uncertainty. The future of professional women's basketball may depend on how both sides navigate this critical moment.